Hey guys, so there were some questions on several of the problems from last night's homework on section 2.3. So I just wanted to go over and clarify and explain some things. I think we kind of went through it pretty fast, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands the distributive property because it's a really important concept from everything we're going to build on from here. So we'll start with number 12. It wanted you to identify these different parts to an expression. So the terms, it's just saying all of these things that are added together. So the terms here would be negative 19, a negative 11a, positive a, and a positive 16. Now the like terms would be what things you could combine. You can combine the negative 11a and a. And then you could also combine the negative 19 and 16. The coefficients, that is the number in front of the variable. So in front of the a, we have a negative 11. And then in front of this a, well, there's no number. If there's no number, it's just an understood 1. There's only one of those a's. And the constant terms would be any number that's not attached to a variable. So the negative 19 and 16. And then it said to simplify the expression. So when you simplify, you're combining the like terms. So if we're going to combine negative 19 and 16, and all I'm doing is rearranging the different terms of the expression right now. So I just rewrote them in a different order. We know we can do that when we are adding them. So negative 19 plus 16 is a negative 3, and then combining a negative 11a and a positive a would give us negative 10a. Okay, so number 23, this was a commonly missed one. What we do here is we take this 5, this is saying 5 times k minus 7, with k minus 7 in parentheses, and then subtract k, and then add 7. So starting here, we have to distribute this 5 to each of these terms inside the parentheses. And by distribute, it means multiply. So we're going to multiply 5 times k, and we're combining it with 5 times negative 7. And then let's not forget these other pieces, minus k plus 7. So this would be 5k, 5 times negative 7 is 35, excuse me, negative 35. And then not forget the minus k plus 7. So here we have an expression where everything is multiplied out, but it's not quite simplified. In true simplified form, the like terms will be combined. So we can combine the 5k with a negative k, which would be 4k. How do I know this is 1? If there's no number in front of it, it's just an understood 1. So we're combining these k's, and we're combining the 5 and the negative 1, and that gives us our 4 of those k's. And then negative 35 plus 7, those two numbers when combined are negative 28. So that would be the answer for that problem. Okay, so for number 24, similar to the one right above, we're taking this negative 2 and multiplying it by 2m and multiplying negative 2 by negative 1, and then adding a 4m at the end. So if we have a negative 2 times 2m, and we're going to combine it, we'll add it with a negative 2 times negative 1, and then don't forget that 4m on the end. Don't forget this negative sign right here. I put a plus sign. Well, there's no plus sign there. it's okay to insert one in if that makes it easier for you to understand. It just means you're combining the terms. So negative 2 times 2m, we're multiplying this number times this number, negative 4m. And then we are adding negative 2 times negative 1. We have two negatives, which equal a positive when multiplied. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then adding the 4m. So if we have a negative 4m and a positive 4m, if we have negative 4 of something and positive 4 of something, any variable, any number that we put in for that variable will still make this equal 0. So those would cancel out. And so we would just be left with 2. Sorry about that, homework time for my girls too. Okay, so for number 26, we have 20u minus 6 times u plus 5, and the u plus 5 in parentheses. So this one is out by itself, 20u. That's pretty easy. We'll just rewrite that one. And then we're taking this negative 6 and distributing it to each of these items, each of these terms inside the parentheses. So we have, we're just adding, and we happen to be adding a negative integer right here, adding negative 6 times u, and also adding a negative 6 times 5. Okay, this isn't being multiplied by anything else, so that's still a 20u. And then we are adding negative 6 times u is a negative 6u. And adding negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. Another way to rewrite this is 20u. If you're adding a negative, it's the same as saying subtracting minus. And then we're also adding a negative, so we're subtracting 30. So we have 20u minus 6u, and that is 14u. Because we're taking, these have the like terms, these are both u's, so we're combining those, and then we have the negative 30 on the end. You're probably having to read this sideways, I'm sorry. All right, so for number 27, negative w plus 4 minus, and this one was tricky for several people, 3w minus 13. So these negative w plus 4, that stays the same for now. Now when we are distributing these out, we have to apply this negative to each of the items, apply this negative to each of these terms inside the parentheses. So to apply a negative to 3w, that makes it negative 3w. If you wanted to say plus a negative 3w, that's okay too. And then plus apply that negative to a negative 13. That's saying the opposite of negative 13. Well, that's a positive 13. So you have a negative w plus 4 minus 3w plus 13. Just rewriting that without that plus sign there. Okay, so then we are combining the like terms. We have a negative w and a negative 3w. To combine those, this is an understood 1, so combining negative 1 and negative 3, that is negative 4, and then the variable we're working with is w. And then combine 4 and 13. That is 17. So that's the answer for that one. All right, the last one that seemed to trip people up was number 28. Okay, so we have p minus 5 times, and then parentheses 2 minus 3p, close parentheses, plus 1. So the p is by itself, so we just rewrite that. And then we are combining it with a -5 times 2, and combining that with a -5 times a -3p. And adding that 1 at the end. Okay, so let's multiply this out. Can't do anything with that yet, that's still just the p. And -5 times 2, that is -10. If you want to think of it in terms of adding, that's fine. And then we are multiplying -5 times -3p. The 5 and the 3 are multiplied together. -5 and -3 are multiplied together, and that equals 15. We have two negatives. When two negatives are multiplied together, that makes a positive, and the variable attached to it is p, and add 1 at the end. So here, combining the like terms, we combine the things that have p's attached. So 1p plus 15p. If I have one of something, pie, p is a pie, an apple pie, and then I have 15 pies. If I combine those, that would be 16p. And then the other like terms, we have constants of a -10 plus 1, and that is -9. So that is the answer for that one. I hope this is helpful. I hope it explains it and demonstrates the distributive property a little bit better. If you guys have any questions about section 2.3 or tonight's homework, shoot me an email, let me know. I can do another one of these videos if that helps you work through it, since we didn't really have time in class today. So there you go.